Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on an incredible journey to figure out something I think we all struggle with: finding real, profound spiritual meaning right in the middle of our fast-paced, tech-driven routines. Seriously, if you've ever felt like your daily grind is totally disconnected from a higher purpose, you are absolutely in the right place. Let me ask you this. Does technology distance us from our spirituality? Think about it. Do our everyday tools, our smartphones, the internet, artificial intelligence, do they actually pull us away from higher meaning? Do they distract us from our own souls? Well, it turns out this isn't just some 21st century anxiety. We're about to dive into an ancient, high-stakes conflict that tackles this exact question head-on.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to look at technological progress, Rajbi's spiritual isolation in the cave, the clash between temporary and eternal life, how we can change the meaning of our actions, elevating the mundane through Rabbi Cook's philosophy, and finally, finding holiness within our daily life.
Starting off with part 1, technological progress, blessing or danger. To really wrap our heads around this, think of ancient Roman infrastructure as the internet and AI of its day. It was the absolute cutting edge. Now, we have an ancient debate about this tech. On one side, you have Rabbi Yehuda. He looks at Roman advancements, these massive bridges, bustling markets, the public bathhouses, and he praises their practical utility. He's basically saying, look at these amazing tools improving human life. But on the flip side, we have Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, also known as Rashbi. He looks at the exact same infrastructure and focuses entirely on the corrupt, selfish motivations behind them. He only sees the dark motives driving the technology. Take those bridges, for example. Rabbi Yehuda sees communities connecting, but Rabbi Shimon, he sees tools built purely to collect tolls and taxes. What about the bathhouses? Sure, great for public hygiene, but Rabbi Shimon points out they were actually built for depravity and excess. And the markets? Economic growth versus pure selfish ambition. You see, Rabbi Shimon's point was that even though the physical creations were totally useful, their hidden motive was entirely corrupt. And let me tell you, speaking out against the ruling empire's tech was incredibly dangerous. Because of his outspoken criticism, the Romans literally sentenced Rabbi Shimon to death. Which brings us to part 2, Rashbi in the cave, spiritual isolation. Let's move on and see how this builds. To escape that Roman death decree, Rabbi Shimon and his son systematically completely detached from human society. They flee, they hide in a totally isolated cave, and in this incredible, extreme act of detachment, they literally strip off their clothes, essentially removing the garments of human society and industry. They actually bury themselves up to their necks in the sand all day long just to study pure divine wisdom. Rabbi Shimon becomes the ultimate model for the tension between societal action and total isolation. He achieves absolute intellectual purity by completely disconnecting from the technical world. And here's where it gets wild. A carob tree and a water spring miraculously appeared right there in the cave, providing divine, natural sustenance. Rabbi Cook, whose brilliant philosophy we're analyzing in this explainer, points out that this miracle represents the ultimate separation from the mundane world. It allowed them to survive without relying on a flawed, corrupt human economy for even a single calorie. They existed purely in the realm of high spiritual truth, completely untainted by human industry. Moving into part 3, temporary life versus eternal life. So after 12 long years of this intense, pure spiritual existence, the death decree is finally lifted. But when they emerge from the cave, they look around and see regular people just working the fields and sowing seeds. Rabbi Shimon looks at them and utters this incredibly powerful thought. They forsake eternal life and engage in temporary life. He was so elevated, so intensely pure, that the ancient sources say his gaze literally burned the fields. He simply could not fathom how people could waste their precious time on mere agriculture and basic survival when they could be engaging with the eternal, profound truths of the universe. It's a massive clash of realities. On one hand, you have eternal life, the extreme purity of the cave, high consciousness, and total devotion to spiritual study. And opposed to that, you have temporary life, the noisy reality of the market, agriculture, economics, and daily material labor. Rabbi Shimon's reaction just highlights the intense friction between these two worlds. But here's the thing. Burning the fields isn't exactly a viable solution, right? Total separation is ultimately unsustainable for a whole society. I mean, we can't all live in a cave.
That leads us perfectly into part 4, the goal, changing the action's meaning.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real solution, the power of intent. Think about a simple Stabilo pen. It might be manufactured by people with completely mundane, commercial, or even negative intentions. But when you pick up that pen and use it to write down a holy text, or maybe just a kind letter to a friend, you completely transform it. Your conscious choice of a noble goal turns a purely technical action into spiritual work. The exact same goes for the internet or AI. Despite the commercial motivations behind their creation, you can utilize them to spread wisdom and connect people. The origin of a tool doesn't dictate its value. It's your conscious intention that completely transforms its purpose entirely. Now for part 5, elevating the mundane in Rabbi Kook's thought. Rabbi Kook uses the ancient model of the sabbatical year to explain this synthesis. Think about ancient agriculture. You work the land for 6 years. That's your practical, earthly, temporary labor. But that 7th year, that's a sabbatical. A time to completely stop, reflect, and elevate your spirituality. It's a fascinating realization. Rabbi Kook insightfully points out that Rabbi Shimon's time in the cave was never meant to be a permanent rejection of the world. No, it was like a prolonged sabbatical year. You elevate your mind so that when you enter year 8 and return to the mundane world, you bring that higher, holy consciousness right back with you to infuse your everyday practical work. The true ideal is not to flee the world, but to actively elevate it. This is the absolute core of Rabbi Kook's ultimate vision. He's telling us that our goal is not to escape into isolation. We are actually supposed to actively engage in the world, to use its technology, to participate in its systems. But we have to do so while being guided by a pure, divine, and positive purpose. It's all about that profound connection between intense mental elevation and practical, everyday involvement. Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, Holiness within Daily Life. So the crucial point is that we can apply this synthesis right now, today. Think of social media as the modern Roman bridge. Don't let it be a toll on your mental health. Intentionally use it to foster real, positive human connections. Leverage advanced tech, like AI, not to cut corners, but to genuinely enhance your learning and to help others. You can literally transform your routine, seemingly boring daily work, into a conscious mission of goodness. You don't need to live in a cave to be spiritual. It is entirely about finding the balance between fully engaging in worldly matters while fiercely protecting the sanctity of your inner soul. I want to leave you with this one provocative question. What higher purpose will you give to your very next practical action today? Seriously, whether you're typing an email, making a phone call, or just picking up your smartphone, how can you elevate that mundane act? Keep finding that meaning, and thanks for joining me on This Explainer.